Broncos country, your Denver Broncos have just received a massive wave of great news as they prepare for Week 2 on the road against the Indianapolis Colts. With October and November looming as brutal stretches of the schedule, this matchup is one the Broncos simply must win if they want to stay on track for that deep playoff push in January and February. But here's the part that should fire up every fan: the Broncos' injury report is almost spotless. Outside of one name, every single player suited up as a full participant in practice. That's the kind of momentum we've been waiting for. Depth is returning, strength is building, and the roster is starting to look playoff ready. Before we dive deeper into this breaking news, make sure you subscribe to the channel, drop a like, and don't forget to hit the bell icon so you never miss the latest updates from Broncos country. Now, let's get back to the action. Seeing the Broncos' key pieces back on the field brings a surge of confidence. The defense regains its muscle in the trenches, the run-stopping unit looks stronger, and the offense has its playmakers ready to deliver. This is the kind of timing that could turn Week 2 into a statement game, a chance to show the league that Denver isn't just competing, they're building something special. One of the biggest mistakes the Broncos made last week was leaning too heavily on the pass. 17 throws to just 3 runs early in the game. That imbalance killed any chance of establishing play action. But don't expect Sean Payton to repeat that same mistake. Adjustments are coming, and this offense knows it has to find rhythm on the ground to unlock the full playbook. Now, here's where the toughness of this team shines through. Linebacker Alex Singleton, the heart of Denver's defense, broke his hand again. The same hand that already required surgery earlier this year. And yet, he's strapping on a cast and refusing to sit out. This is the same warrior who once finished a half of football basically running on one knee. He's gritty, relentless, and exactly the kind of leader the Broncos need holding down the middle while Dre Greenlaw remains sidelined. And the timing couldn't be better. Denver faces an Indianapolis defense that's been battered and bruised, especially in the secondary. Both of the Colts' starting cornerbacks, Jalen Jones and Chardarius Ward, have been ruled out. These aren't just bodies on the depth chart, they're proven playmakers, the type of defenders who can flip a game with one snap. Losing them is devastating for Indy, but for Denver, it opens the door to a statement performance through the air. The Broncos walk into this matchup not only healthier, but hungrier, and suddenly, with the momentum tilting their way. Sean Payton knows he can't afford to abandon the run, but if the Broncos do lean on the passing game, this matchup plays perfectly into their hands. The Colts will be without 2 of their most dangerous defensive backs, including a corner who built his reputation on being a ball hawk, a player who always seemed to turn up in the right place at the right time. And the absence that truly tilts the field in Denver's favor is Chardarius Ward. Broncos fans know him well from his days in Kansas City, where he was once considered one of the league's top corners, capable of erasing an entire side of the field. Even after leaving the Chiefs, Ward remained a physical, game-changing defender. The fact that the Broncos won't have to deal with him on Sunday is a gift that could change everything. This leaves Indianapolis with no choice but to rely heavily on zone coverage. That's important, because while Bo Nix showed some struggles against zone looks last week, experience brings growth. He now steps into a matchup where the reads are clearer, the matchups more favorable, and the opportunity to strike is waiting. Denver doesn't just walk into this game healthier, they walk in with the chance to exploit one of the Colts' greatest weaknesses. And if Bo Nix takes advantage, it could be the spark that sets the tone for the Broncos' entire season. With both of Indianapolis' starting corners sidelined, the Colts are being forced to turn to players with little to no meaningful NFL experience. That alone puts their secondary in a dangerous position. Imagine stepping into your first real snaps against a Denver offense that's desperate to prove itself. That's the challenge waiting for these replacements. It doesn't stop there. One of Indy's most disruptive defensive linemen is also out of action. Liatu Latu, a young pass rusher with explosive speed and violent hands, has already shown flashes of being a difference maker. His ability to collapse the pocket and even drop back into coverage made him a unique weapon up front. But now, the Broncos won't have to deal with him. For Denver, that's a massive sigh of relief. The offensive line has been under scrutiny, and removing one of the Colts' premier threats from the equation tilts this matchup further in the Broncos' favor. Fewer blitz packages to worry about, cleaner pockets for Bo Nix, and more room for the run game to develop. This is the type of break that can swing an entire road game. Denver heads into Indianapolis with not just momentum, but opportunity, and if they seize it, this could be the kind of win that sets the tone for the rest of the season. This game presents the Broncos with the perfect opportunity, a wounded Colts secondary and a defense that has struggled to stop the run. Last week, Miami gashed them on the ground for 6 yards per carry before game flow forced the Dolphins to abandon the run. That tells you everything. The Colts can be run on. Denver cannot afford to repeat last year's mistake, when Bo Nix ended up as the team's leading rusher against Indianapolis. That's not the formula for winning football. This time, the Broncos must establish the run early, punish the Colts up front, and then let play action open up the field. The path is there, it's all about commitment. With Indy leaning heavily on zone coverage, this is also a chance for Bo Nix to show growth. He struggled at times against zone looks last week, but great quarterbacks learn fast. Now he faces a secondary filled with backups, and it's his moment to prove he can dissect those coverages and take command of the offense. What makes this setup even better is the mindset in Denver's locker room. They may have won by 8 points last week, a blowout by NFL standards, but the reaction was as if they had lost. Sean Payton was visibly frustrated with his play calling, the players were unsatisfied with execution, and the hunger for more was obvious. Meanwhile, the Colts are coming off a win over a struggling opponent. They're hearing praise, they're feeling good, and that's exactly when a focused, determined Broncos team can strike. Broncos country, the stage is set. From an injury standpoint, things couldn't look much better. Outside of Dre Greenlaw, Denver heads into this matchup nearly at full strength, a rare and powerful advantage this early in the season. The hope is to have Greenlaw back in the near future, ideally in time for the clash with the Chargers or at the very least before that primetime showdown against Joe Burrow and the Bengals at Mile High. But for now, all focus is on Indianapolis. The Broncos are healthier, hungrier, and sharper. This isn't just another road game, it's a chance to make a statement, to prove that the culture shift under Sean Payton is real. Denver isn't showing up to compete. They're showing up to dominate. The message is simple, the Broncos are back. Believe it.